Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I was saying in the bar, education in this country has a lot of challenges. When something has design, structural, and when something has systemic problems, you'll get all this manner of challenges. But my beginning point is that I do not believe in categorization of schools because that is to create a society that is not equal, a society that doesn't promote equity. So we don't have to categorize schools. But one must ask themselves, how is that possible? I go to the next thing I don't believe in. I don't believe in boarding schools. All this mess arises out of us operating the boarding school model. Boarding schools were created to remove children from their parents who are satanic, pagans, and practicing all manner of bad things, and therefore they needed to be removed from their parents, from their homes, locked up somewhere in Chogoria Girls, somewhere in Alliance Girls, and so on and so forth. So we get away from these boarding schools that creates iniquities. It's the boarding school that makes education very expensive. So we must move away from boarding schools. Once you move away from boarding schools, then you have local schools. Almost along the lines of what happens in America with community colleges and schools. So that the people in a particular location take their children to a community school, all of them. I even don't like this idea of small little kids being woken up at 4 in the morning, at 3, at 5, to be able to traverse Nairobi from one corner of Nairobi to another across the town just because there's a better school there. I believe children must go to the schools where they are. That way, all parents, all people will develop an interest in the schools near their homes. Number 3, all these things are not possible, and the trouble we are facing will continue being there until we do the most sensible thing to do, which is provide really free quality education. Real, underline real. Sio masomo ya bure na ambaye ni bure, hapana. Sio bora masomo, hapana. Real quality education, free. So if you inject state funds into education, localize all the schools, you will find these iniquities, the so-called big schools and small schools, in another 10, 15, 20 years, they will cease to exist. Those are some of the things I don't believe in. Now, regarding Gachagua and the idea of admission to national schools, I never for once supported the idea of children coming from very posh academies, the so-called academies, primary schools, then going to hog and get all the places in our best national schools. I never supported it. Not at all. If you can afford your children to go to a very posh, very expensive primary school or academy, afford a private academy. Don't go and spoon feed your children, make them well taken care of, they pass the exams, then you compete with children from Rombe, where I come from. No, go there where you can pay like you paid in primary schools. Unless we take these bold measures, we will keep talking and talking. Now, regarding Gachagua, what Gachagua is saying is that people in certain parts of this country must stop being lazy. They must work as hard as other Kenyans. A lot went into building these schools. When I was growing up, I saw even the mud schools we went to build them matope. Watu walikuwa wanapiga firimbi. Umoja, let's go and build a school. Wale wanaleta maji, wale wanakanyaga, wanakanda udongo, wale wanaleta miti. And that's how we went to school. Others may not have done that. They might have had historical challenges. But in the year 2025, you cannot use that as an excuse. So Gachagua has a point. Finally, the bar on the regarding Gachagua. I equate what I see among my Somali brothers and sisters. with what I see among the people from Sudan, Southern Sudan. Go to the top coffee houses in Nairobi, the CBD and outside. A good number of the clients are Sudanese people with gold teeth, enjoying life in Nairobi. And there are people at home are living dog life. The people of northeastern Kenya should not be doing all these things they are doing in Nairobi, enjoying very good tea in the top restaurants in Nairobi here, putting up buildings in South Sea and where, and they are not investing back home. And when somebody calls them out, they talk of tribalism. They should actually thank Gashagwa. He's telling them, no, you also invest back home because you owe it to your people, you owe it to your responsibility. There are many schools that are coming up in Meru, in Kakamega, in Nyeri, that are being put up by the local people, especially getting support from their sons and daughters who are working in Nairobi, who are working in Mombasa, who have benefited from education, have good jobs, are businessmen. They invest home in those schools when they are doing a fundraising for a school in Meru. Gaitili, my friend will send some money there for the fundraising. We are encouraging our brothers and sisters also to do the same. As I close this debate, other than the idea of free education, which we must engage in, we must also know some of the challenges we are having are deliberately thrown our way by those who do not want us to have education. That's the context in which you must understand this CBC animal. So it's not, all these things are interlinked. Through these challenges to people spoil their education so that the West can continue to dominate Africa. Africa with the youngest population. If on top of that youngest population that is growing at an alarming rate, if Africa is going to also on top of this benefit, this advantage of youthful population, is going to have serious education, then the people who exploit Africa will not exploit Africa. So this CBC and all these other related messes must be understood in the context of our exploiters who dominate us, who exploit us, not wanting us to have serious education. Thank you.
Right. Exploiters are not wanting us to have serious education. Thank you, Herman.